What is going on? There we go. What is going on? Doing this one through Otter AI just to see if it transcribes while I talk. And just wanted to see how that turned out. So, what are we doing here today? Welcome to the podcast. So glad you could join us here on Spiritual Dope. Today we're just gonna try and go for a hit, right? You know, spiritual, get your hit, get your dose of kind of a spiritual uplifting, as it were. Maybe it's a downlifting. Who knows how you're gonna handle it? But what I wanted to do today was say, hey, it was decision time, right? You've done everything right. You played all the reindeer games. You went to the right schools. You listened to and followed all the rules. Yet you still can't seem to break through, right? You're in the same place, working your ass off for 40 to 60 hours a week. Maybe you've been doing it for the past 15 to 20 years. You work harder. Okay, sure. You were told to work harder. You work smarter. Okay, I'm not really sure what smarter looks like, but you're still working 40 to 60 hours a week. And if you're still working 40 to 60 hours a week, you're still pretty much, to me, just working harder, right? And then you're like, shit, I'm still in the same place with the same people, and somehow even my problems are all the same, right? Well, here's what I learned while I was reading the book, Are You Ready to Succeed? I've read it several times. I recommend it to everybody I speak to. And one of the first things that Sri Kumar hits on is mental models, right? We talk kind of like about your mental models that you had created for your entire life. That's how you end up with the same problems, right? The same way of thinking that got you here isn't going to be the same type of thinking that gets you there, right? Some of the mental models I had were stuff like be a man and take it all and be a superhero and put it all on your own shoulders. You never need help. Suck it up, right? Suck it up, buttercup. That kind of thing. And even as I was older, working in some pretty awesome jobs, actually, surrounded by super smart people. And look, you can hear it coming out in my voice still. I was like, what was I doing surrounded by all these super smart people, people with MBAs and great educations? I was always terrified of stuff that they would figure. I was like, what if they find out that I'm a high school dropout? Will they even listen to me then? So how is this model serving me? How is this way of thinking serving me? How is this beneficial? Right? Does it feel like that for you sometimes? I gotta ask. Does it feel like, the models that you've been using for yourself have you standing in the same place, using the hamster wheel, stuck in the mud, up against the same wall day after day after day, and nothing ever changes, right? So, in this book, Sri Kumar brings up the idea that he was taught by his own Indian mother that this is a benevolent universe. And this universe is looking out for you, right? It was looking out for him. And he disregarded her for years. He would make fun of her, and he'd say stuff like, well, why doesn't a melon just pop up here for me, and appear from the universe if it's a benevolent universe? And, I think as any good parent does, you don't really chide your child. You realize when your child's not ready to accept that yet, right? They're not ready to regard that idea as true. Eventually though, he had a shift in his own mind, and when he did, and he applied this model to model of the universe being benevolent, his own world began to change. And it's kind of like at this point where it's very similar to Alcoholics Anonymous, right? He recognized that he had a problem. He recognized that he had a poor mental model that was not empowering him, right? And then he went ahead and he accepted that there was a power greater than himself, that was the universe, that not only could it help, but it also wanted his greatness to come through as well, right? It was benevolent. It was on his side. It was on his side. And I read this book. It took me so long to get around to even reading it, but when I read this, I began to apply it to my own life, and I did it very, very kind of lightly, just kind of like happenstances. Listen, because once this stuff gets into your head, and you accept any of it, and you just apply it, right? It's almost like you can't not apply it once you've read it, right? So it's almost like you've got a new, I always say that your mind is like Google, and whenever you read a book or listen to a story, it goes into the subconscious somehow, right? It goes into the recesses of your mind, and it's always going to be available. So this idea was available to me. It was new, and it was I had a mental model that I was now rebuilding. I was building this new mental model, and it was pretty neat, right? Because now I'm seeing the universe in an entirely different manner. As a matter of fact, it was like I had a brand new friend in everything I did. It was no longer just me. It was me and the universe, my best friend, the universe, right? And I've begun to, as Alan Watts suggested, to trust the universe as another. What happens when you trust the universe as not only just another, but the idea that it's a benevolent universe and that the universe wants these good things to happen for you. So I opened it up to the very simple possibility that it may actually be true. Just a possibility, right? And I was able to face the universe in honestly a whole new way. I felt in some ways that if sometimes like things don't work out and you're going through this process, your new mental model, right? And how do you look at it? So now, instead of saying, oh man, this is shitty, that didn't turn out for me, and that guy was an asshole, and man, he just didn't get where I was coming from, man. You know what I mean? Like, instead of putting it kind of out there in that way, I would really kind of address it, and not even like we talk about being positive on this and positive on that. Well, I began to address it in such a way that I was like, well, maybe the universe knows something in that scenario that maybe my life would have turned out like shit if I think this way, full on out, and I'm able to dismiss it, or I can just simply say, hey, maybe this didn't turn out for X, Y, Z, and instead of getting bummed out about it, look at it as an opportunity to improve myself so that the next time that shows up, look, go back, take notes, reflect. Here's what went wrong. Here's what went right. Capture that, and give myself the opportunity to readdress it should that particular situation ever show up again. And sometimes stuff on the surface didn't seem awesome. Again, on the surface they don't seem awesome, but in my mind I was able to say, well, you know what? I'm so glad that this happened. The example I'm thinking of right now was, I'd lost an amazing job, on the surface, again, looked like a great job, and it wasn't a bad job. But when that job was no longer there, so many other possibilities became open to me that I hadn't been pursuing because I had the job. Right? I had this kind of invisible tendril stuck to my leg, keeping me within like a 6 square foot radius of all the things. Is it a square foot when it's a circle? I don't know. But I wasn't aware of these opportunities because I was stuck in this other mental model of doing these other things, of doing this job, and I wasn't aware of these other opportunities because I was stuck. But by seeing the universe as another, by seeing the universe as being benevolent and on my side, I was able to free my mind up, right, from these constructs, these constant constructs of fear or overall worry. And honestly, for me, it's been very liberating. And and freeing. And, do I stop and say, okay, universe, just drop all the things in my hands? No, I still show up and I still go to work, but I'm able to approach it in a different manner, right? I'm able to approach it with the universe rather than me against the world or the universe against me. Now we're kind of in tandem, right? So, it's a model that I'm using. And the real challenge is for you to make a decision to continue with your current model, right? Or to begin to do, in my mind, what you were personally born to do. You were born to create. And right now you have an opportunity to create a new model. One where you and the universe are in partnership. A partnership that has clear communication. Feel free to speak to the universe. Let it know some of your wants, some of your wishes, right? Let it know. Just have some fun with it too. Be lighthearted about it. And just say, hey, universe, what's up? This is what I'm looking for. These are a few of the things, and trust it, right? High five the universe. Because here's what's going to happen. If you so choose to decide to go this route, right? And you begin to look for evidence that the universe is listening. And trust me when I tell you that once you begin to see the evidence that this model is working for you, the universe with you, it may not be possible for you to ever go back, right? I'll post a link on the podcast and at the website, spiritualdope.co, to the book if you're interested. The Otter will be having the transcription to this too if you want to read through it. And my only real big ask on top of all this stuff, so really the call to action is for you to create a new mental model for yourself, okay? And try to put it into practice. Universe, God, Mitch, whoever, call it what you want, but understand that if you accept that there's a power greater than you that is willing to work with you, then you begin to see this whole thing in a different way. So try it out. If it doesn't work for you, if you don't find the evidence that the universe is listening, then shut it down. What's it going to cost you, right? You don't have to tell anybody about it. All you got to do is have some of the thoughts and think and see and look and just put a model into place. Worst case scenario, you're still where you are today, tomorrow, right? And so, look, if you like what you're hearing, I'd love to hear from you. Be sure to reach out, shoot me a message at Brandon@spiritualdope.co. Take it easy.